Uh, Good evening, Dina. Uh, it's me. Thanks for joining me. This is Rao Kulusu. I am here on my room for the hacks for modern stress from the ancient wisdom. Uh, we will be talking about this entire hour, and I would like to have a conversation and really address any issues that people have questions about stress and the management. So that way it will be more practical and useful rather than like a lecture. So I have a couple of announcements to make. This is the BF Club, and this room I do every day. Apart from this, I do a room in the morning as a yoga session, and also I'm opening up a live at 10 with me so that we can discuss variety of topics every day. One day it will be meditation, other day it will be family day, other day it will be like a truth day, like that. We named according to the days. And I'm going to have a master class on mind management and meditation. It runs for 5 days, each day 1 hour, and that will be a subscription thing that they are going to do. It's a nominal thing, like a less than $1 per day, or maybe, or just about $1 something. But that is something to encourage people to really participate. That full 1 hour. It's going to be 9:30 a.m. Central, starting next Monday through the next Friday. Okay. So let's see. Anybody wants to come up? Maybe Dina wants to come up. We'll see. I'll invite her. If she comes, then we'll have a conversation. I also opened. Uh, it's an experiment live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hi, Dina. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So where are you from, Dina?
Uh, Cincinnati, Ohio, USA.
Very good. Okay. I'm in Iowa, so you're not far off from me. So compared to a lot of other people who are all over the world, So, uh, how are things in Cincinnati? The virus is under control now.
It seems to be, and the weather has been nice. It's turning fall, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, this is the very good time of the year. All the leaves turning so many colors. It's nice to walk on them and then walk around them and seeing them on the trees too. They may not have fallen yet. They are turning probably right now. So I think she had a call. Let's see other people. Maybe a couple of them are there. So the room fills up as it goes into the hour. More lively discussions at the time. So we will see. Anybody on the Instagram also can make a comment and come on live, and we can have a conversation that way. Uh, of course, I'm just starting that live on the Facebook, YouTube, and all that, and we will have more structure about it. That way, people can interact there also. I'm just exploring all the possibilities and just really putting my tiptoes in the water and see how those things come up. Um, so this room is about really digging into the wisdom that was really not tapped that well for many people, but some people who are martial arts practitioners, yoga practitioners, tai chi. Those people know what the ancients were talking about: energy conservation while working, energy conservation with non-reactive behavior to really trivial things, and also always keeping a perspective that everything is temporary, and then they want to really focus on very big things, and then always go for the bigger and very important in life, that kind of thing. So that's what I wanted to present. I have been a medical doctor for about 40 years now, but I'm also in this yoga practice for about 15 years now. So I have been combining both modern medicine and ancient wisdom, the best of both of them. and that way we can get the best from both. Okay, both are really complementary to each other, and we need to just to be discretionary and choose the right things in both. Okay, for example, modern medicine is doing poorly on the chronic disease management. That is the problem. Okay, so we want to really adopt some lifestyles from the ancients where they were always active and also they were silent in their mind. So keep the body active and keep the mind silent unless it is needed is something that we moved away. Now we keep our body kind of inactive in the chairs, in the elevators, in the cars, and all that, right? So we have to make a separate attempt to exercise. Instead, if we can, like I'm standing now in front of the computer instead of sitting in the chair for an hour or so, that's a very good thing. When we are doing the meetings and all that. Suppose if you are really tired and then you really can't stand, you can sit down. But then making a sitting as a creature comfort, that is where we kind of erred, I believe. So just adjusting that would be very good. And we kind of want to keep the mind silent unless we are engaged with something, but we kind of allow it to run amok with the TV, all the devices, 24-hour news, and also multiple stimuli. So those are the areas I address. So I address the lifestyles, and I see how we moved away from the ancients who were really dealing with the nature and natural rhythms in the body, and also being active in life and keeping the mind silent by several meditative efforts and all. So we can adopt some of it, if not the whole lifestyle, and then really help ourselves from this very very. Busy schedules that we have. We are psychologically busy, but existentially we are not alive. That's what I focus on, and that's what I always talk about it in these rooms. As people come up and they will be posing questions on these matters that are very practical to them. Some people are not able to sleep. Some people are not able to eat properly and are having a problem with the food, either overweight or underweight, or psychological problems with the food, or people are not able to rest their mind quietly. They are kind of always running, and then making their mind run at fifth gear, and they cannot lower it down during the night. One of my CEO friends, she told me that she could not shut her mouth, her mind down because she was talking all day because she was supposed to attend 17 meetings a day, and she was supposed to do involve in discussions and arguments and all that, right? So she was driving her mind at the fifth gear all day, and it doesn't have the break. So we need to learn to how to do that. That's what I was focusing on these rooms. Okay. um, Otherwise, most of the time, I'm quite content to be by myself in my silent mind, and also doing my yoga and in the morning. And a lot of friends also call me with their own burnout problems or stress problems. So I have evolved some programs that can be very easy to do, and people follow them very quickly, and they kind of do it on their own, or they can see me on the Instagram live, and then that is saved in the library. People are running them and doing them, and then they send me direct messages about the questions and doubts they have. I'm very happy to do that because if that helps them live a quality of life, I am rewarded. Okay, so I always enjoyed that, that kind of sharing. But these habits are very chronically formed, and then it's very difficult to get away from that. So you got to have patience, and then the one thing that is needed is persistence. Don't practice once in a week. Do it at least a few minutes every day. That is the key. Then you can change the old habits very easily because you are getting into the new habit formation, and this new creative way of living will replace the old habits, and that way you can really make yourself more healthy and well. Okay? So I was talking about this pillars of wellness this morning on food, activity, and rest included. And the third one is daily routines, and the fourth one is thought. See, the daily routines that they had are congruent or in sync with our diurnal rhythms, without the natural physiological rhythms we have within ourselves. If you listen to them and if you follow them, like you are eating when you're hungry, and you are going to the bathroom when you need to, and then you are drinking water when you need to, and also you are only thinking when it's needed. And then you're resting and sleeping when you feel like it. That kind of regularity, if you can establish in a routine, like you get up in the morning and do some exercise, have a good breakfast, and then go be active on your job, and then take advantage of whatever opportunity you get to be active, like climbing the stairs, walking in the corridors, and then doing some office yoga in the chair. So many ways, right? You can be active and also keep the mind quiet as much as possible unless it is needed to be used for the work. So even when you are doing work, if you are in flow state, it's a much better thing than if you are agitated by every small thing and then you go all over the place. Okay, and then when you come home, you unwind yourself and then you go to sleep. As well as the food is concerned, heavy breakfast, light lunch, and very light dinner is the formula for losing weight and also for really maintaining a balance of the weight. Either too much or too little is not there. If you could stay within your range, and that really becomes easy for you down the line not to have these chronic diseases. So my focus is on always how to live well so that we won't end up with the chronic diseases, and also how we can somewhat reverse some of the chronic diseases by these routines. And after the food and the activity and daily routines, you have the big thing now is the thought. That is the problem with the modern digital age, information age. We are dealing with a lot of information at a time and multiple stimuli. And so it becomes a problem down the line. So we have to understand what is the meaningful information for us, and also how can we not accumulate the information rather than use it, and that's the wisdom. Okay, so that you can keep your mind empty in the morning and in the evening. That's a very important thing. That's why I'm doing this master class from Monday to Friday next about how do you manage mind, what is meditation, how do we do it, what are the problems of meditation, what are the obstacles to meditation, and how can you really enhance the practice of meditation by understanding simple principles. So each hour every day we will be taking one aspect of it. First it will be knowing why meditation, what is the evolution of meditation the second day, and then how can we understand what's the correct way to do meditation, and what are the things that you don't want to do in meditation, and then obstacles of it, and then take home parts. That's how I want to frame the whole 5 day sessions, and they will be on the Zoom, and people who are going to be on the Zoom will be seeing me directly and I can see them, so that the interaction will be better. So we can have a good discussion on that too. It's way above than what I could discuss on the clubhouse or any of these formats because of the lack of time. And some people, sometimes this room fills with people, and you can't handle everybody's questions. So I was asking them to join this in the morning, again on the Zoom, that I can address their specific problems. And we are able to do deep discussions on the problems that they have. Okay, so that is what the introduction is, and let's see whether Sweetie wants to come up, and then we can have a conversation with her. So I'm did not ping anybody, but probably I should be pinging some people. to come into that. Let's see if the sweetie wants to say anything about this problems, topics, and then we can go from there. Okay, so she's busy, it looks like. Anyway, that is the introduction, and anybody uh, on any platform can really raise their hand and they can come up, and then we can engage in conversation. Uh, so let's see. Let me ping some people as I get some time now. So what else? Um, we talked about wellness. We talked about chronic diseases. We talked about upcoming rooms, and we're going to talk about meditation a little bit. What I do in my yoga session in the morning is lead the group in an hour of awareness. That means you got to be here and now. Don't let your mind pull to the back, into the past, or into the future. So I start with a refreshing breathing exercise. So we get three of them, and then we go into these postures where you able comfortable positions. You kind of maintain that number of breaths you counted, but all the time deep breathing and being here and now. That really helps you to work on your parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes you quite a bit. You know, and then you can be very relaxed, energized, and focused at the end of the hour. People think they're just doing a casual exercise. Not so, because you will be activating your parasympathetic nervous system when you take the deep breaths. And those breaths are really important. Once you have that, then when you go on the job or anywhere, you will be less reactive to stuff. You know, and that really helps you not to secrete so much of stress hormones. So in the long run, you will find yourself not reacting that much. Okay, those kind of things. Okay, so um, that is what I do in the morning. There are a series of good breathing exercises I kind of demonstrate and do them. And then after that, we kind of try to focus, calm our thoughts, and then focus on one thought and try to go beyond it by being the witness of the thoughts. So that is the ultimate aim of the whole hour, where you want to be watching your thoughts so that you can control them. Suppose they are negative, you can make them positive by just being aware of that, and then not being identified with the thought. The whole yoga science is that you have to still the mind and identify the conscious being that is behind the still mind, and then you will not be identified with the thought. So otherwise, you will be identified with the thought, and then that is the kind of misery in the long run. A lot of people cannot really stop them because they get used to this repeated thinking, and the thoughts become ingrained, and they pop up in your mind without you knowing. Unconsciously they pop up. Compulsively they pop up. So then people cannot really stop them. They want to take a drink, or smoke, or something like that. They'll do that, right? Which is also not good. Okay? So let's see. Okay. So that is the introduction and description of what my existing programs are doing, and what the programs are coming up to. So anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand and come up, and we can engage in a conversation. Otherwise, I have been describing my room and my club and what I'm planning in the next week. I'm going to have a master class on mind management and meditation. So we're going to talk about what is meditation, what is the evolution of meditation, how did we end up needing the meditation, and what is the proper method of meditation, what are the problems with meditation, and how can we have obstacles removed for the good meditation, and also some take home points of whether they can apply practically in their life. Those kind of things will be concentrated on that. So that is going to be 9:30 Central Time from Monday to Friday, every day 1 hour on Zoom. Okay. So I provided that link for registration in my bio. So anybody interested, they can do that too. Otherwise, these rooms are going to come up, but I'm not able to go into the details of anything in here because I don't know how much interested people are and how much they want to come up. So unless they are really interested, they could be um, uh, pretty heavy and boring for them. But if they're interested, they could. Hi, Dina. You are on the phone call for a while I'm describing all my programs. So
Oh, yes, I apologize.
that's
My
okay. Yeah.
HR department called. We had a sexual harassment issue today
Oh,
at work, so I had to talk about that with them.
yeah. That's okay. And I was describing my activities to people coming up and going. But then, do you have any comments or questions on this title or my room or anything that you want to know about?
Well, I think stress and burnout
Yeah,
are partly a state of mind. I apologize for not knowing what you've covered already, but
yeah.
it's
No, that's
life
okay.
is what you make it, I think.
Yeah, that's okay because I talk to generally, but I usually want to address people's concerns, or some people want to understand. Some people want to address something real in their life, like they are. Some people come here saying, "I'm really stressed out. How can you deal with it?" And then I ask them which area they are stressed out. What is that in the job area, is it the relationship, or is it COVID? So many reasons, right? And then we get to practical about it. You're right. This sexual harassment that happened, that could be very stressful, even the people who are handling it too, because so much contentious and so much tragedy around it. And then you feel sorry for the victim, and you have to do something about the aggressor. All those things are very tough. So, um, do you deal with this quite often or once in a while?
Well, I'm a FedEx driver, and we sent a new girl for a
Mm,
DOT physical today, and
mm.
the male doctor stood behind her and had her raise her arms, and then he proceeded to feel her up basically from behind without like
Oh,
telling her he was going to touch her breasts.
that
So
is
she
terrible.
said
Yeah.
she felt violated.
Yeah, that is terrible because three jobs I always said: a teacher, a doctor, a priest. They should treat anybody who comes to them like small children with affection and care. This kind of thing is really getting worse. Even in India, we are seeing such kind of behavior. I'm very surprised, but then they are kind of all the exposures and all the media and all those things, they make them like that too, probably. But then the culture itself is kind of receding, from what it used to be control of senses. Now the senses going all over, and people are really, the victims are really horrible. Small kids also getting so that's really makes me very sad when I hear about them. But you can be better, much better. So, what do you do for the education of these kind of victims? I mean, they need help, support, and all that. Apart from that, do you provide it like how they should deal with this trauma that they suffered?
Well, I really don't know what to do for her other
Yeah.
than I reached reached out to our HR department to report the situation, and then
Mm,
she's going to contact the hospital where it happened and
mm,
um,
yeah,
talk to them about it. And I just think we're just not going to send anyone else to that facility anymore if they're going
yeah,
to be creepy weirdos.
yeah. Sure, definitely. They will lose a lot of business with this story. And now with all this going on, so many people, the Me Too movement, and all so many things are going on. Still, people are behaving the same way. That is what happens when you are instinctive rather than elevated in your thinking. You know, and that is where people have to really look at their life. Am I really dealing with noble people's readings or lifetimes and all that? That could be a habit from childhood where they can pick it up of those nobler instincts, and then unconsciously they will be going towards that. I think that is something all the commercialization, consumerism, they don't want to promote this kind of nobler instincts, right? And that's why people are going the reverse direction. Family structures going down, values going down, and all that. So all that is because of the inner development. People they don't think that is needed at all. They're most like they may say, we don't need all of that. We just need some money and then to live. But these kind of things happen. A doctor doing that is horrific, really. So you can't understand that. So, uh, so people are
Yeah.
come.
Well, she's very young, and it's her third day at work with us, and so
Oh,
I felt like I should speak out for her since
yeah,
I've been training her,
yeah,
and I didn't feel like she was going to tell anyone but me, so
yeah,
I just
definitely.
want to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Yeah, and actually, you have to report and you have to take appropriate action, and that's the correct thing to do, and protect other victims also. Yeah, I think you did exactly what you need to do, so that's very good. Chandan is here. I don't know if he wants to come up. He's been sitting there for a while. I wonder if he wants to talk. And sometimes the app also doesn't work, and people cannot come up too. That is also there. And even when they come up, their mic doesn't work. So, Dina, what do you do for relaxation and stress reduction? What kind of things you employ?
Well, lately I've been meditating and just spending time alone,
Yeah. Mm,
uh, going to bed early, making sure I get enough sleep because I decided that my lack of sleep really
exactly.
throws my day into a bad place when I
Yeah.
don't get enough sleep. I'm in a worse mood, and
Yeah.
just eating well and exercising and getting enough sleep honestly
Yeah.
is I'm trying
This
to avoid negative people and situations.
Yeah, this is very important. Sleep is the one which restores our body and the mind, to the healthier state. So it's always important that we sleep properly. There are some things I recommend people to do before sleep and after getting from sleep too. One thing is put all these devices away at least half an hour to 1 hour before you sleep. 1 hour preferably, and then during that 1 hour you try to wind down and also recollect all the reactions you may have on your mind, and then try to really resolve if they are negatives. If you kind of keep them, those reactions will make you retain them during the sleep, and then they're not good in the morning when you wake up. On the other hand, if you say these things happen, like this suppose today, you were reported or somebody and you did the correct action, then you want to put it aside and deal with it tomorrow morning. If you are thinking about this and going to bed, that is not going to relax you completely. But you're going to take care of it tomorrow. So what you do is you write down all the things you want to do in this matter in a paper, and just for the night put it aside. That kind of habitually putting aside things and then taking it up next morning gives you more energy. Otherwise, a lot of people get upset what happened, and then they kind of don't want to really sleep very soundly. That's one thing. Other thing is take something positive to sleep rather than the negatives that happen during the day. And that also helps people to really have a good night's sleep too. Good hormone secretion, good restoration of mind and body happens too. And in the morning, when you get up, you don't want to get into this thoughts right away. You want to be aware of what's going on outside you in the nature and be in touch with that. And then the longer you can keep these thoughts away, the better it is for you. And then you can always do that later. But this morning, neural system is very susceptible. That's why the first 1 hour after you get up is very important. You have to devise something. It could be anything like a diary writing or reading something very elevated thoughts, or deep breathing or stretching or exercise, aerobic or walk into the nature, any of those things that relax you and you're really alive in the present moment. That is something people don't do that anymore. But then that is the one which brings you joy and happiness in the morning, and you don't need to depend on anybody for that. Like you were saying, you're trying to be with yourself. That's an excellent thing. And then after that, you do the breakfast, good breakfast, and then go and be active at your work. And then obviously you are going to be you're driving and all that. And then if you get a chance somewhere, you can also see that you are doing something to relax yourself. That is missing in the modern world. Says people go, 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 go without really taking a moment of how to relax. You know. Excuse me.
Those are great tips.
Yeah.
And at night, if I have those thoughts come up, I say, God, please take this away from me. And I
Yeah.
try to go back to no mind and tell myself I'm asleep. And I
Exactly.
just pretend like I'm asleep until I go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's I just pretend like I'm asleep. That's that's my greatest tip for falling asleep.
Yeah. No, you said very big word, no mind. Actually, there is something called no mind. People think we are only our thoughts, our emotions, our mind only. But actually, the mind comes up from the heart. That is important in the beginning because we need to study, we need to make a living, learn some skills and all. For the external development, the mind was needed. But then, if you turn it inside and then form yourself a ego, a personality, something like you want to hold on to, which is not really true, it's a thought constructing, right? That is the problem with many people. They cannot really shake the ego, and then they get empowered by the inner being, not by the egoistic thing. Ego also, a lot of people will react negatively to that. That way you have more stress generated. you know so having the no mind means really understanding, is there really mind or only thoughts? If the thoughts are there, how can I slow them down, and how can I change them from negative to positive? That we can do, because we are stationed in our no mind. We can act on our mind. That's a big word and big philosophical, spiritual. People do 30, 40 years of practice to get the no mind. But it's very simple. Just be yourself. Don't have to think about things. Psychologically, we imagine so many things, and then we kind of psychologically busy. But existentially, you have to be alive. That means this moment is the only life we know. Past is already gone. Future is not yet here. If you take it, if you really look at it, this is the moment that we are alive, right? So people, they kind of wedded to the past or future, and that's why they kind of get upset about things that don't happen the way, or they keep the upsetting past thoughts and live them again. You know, so it's a kind of once you understand how to live in the present, you have no mind, but at the same time, you use the thoughts very effectively. I could say I'm mostly in no mind category. Only when I interact with people, they may bring up their mind, but I have to watch with my awareness. I'm not slipping into something of past or the future to influence them. I just want to see what they are, how they are, and what is. And that is a very good thing for sleep and exercise, anything. So what happens is, suppose you are a basketball player, you are playing very well, and then you know this principle. Then what happens is becomes a training. You go and put the basket, you scored, and people may clap. And immediately you have to drop that because you have to become the defender, right? And then you have to defend your ball for the next one. Otherwise, they will score you. So and then suppose they score, immediately you have to drop and come and really put the basket. So each uh, travel from one basket to other basket becomes an independent journey. That's when you really don't have a no mind. That makes sense?
It's just us now.
Yeah.
So just concentrate on the next basket. Is that what you're saying?
No, no. What it is whatever you did, it's already over. So you cannot focus on that because you are required to the next one, right? You have to pay attention to the next basket because you're going and defending the basket. And after you defend, again you have to come and score. So it is doing it and just putting it aside and going to the consciousness again as the same. Like I do with my patients. If I talk to a patient, right, I want to give my all to the patient. Basically, I want to listen to the patient. I want to be completely with him so that he feels he was taken care of, And I do that because I don't want to think too many things. I just want to focus on what is happening with this patient, what is he telling me, what is that I get to do, what are the tests I have to order. I will concentrate on him completely. And then he also feels like very good because somebody listened to him without interrupting. And then after it is done, next patient I go to, I cannot take this patient's data to him, right? So the easy thing for me is to test to concentrate what is in front of me. And that happens very easily. And then you can be more thorough, more complete with whatever you're doing. Then that actually relaxes your mind too, because you are not thinking something else and then you are acting something here. That's what can happen with multitasking. So I just do one task at a time, even if I'm doing for a few seconds, I'm completely focused on that. So other thing is I don't have brain fog from so many things to doing because at the end of it, I don't have anything in my mind. It's all washed up. This is a skill that we can practice. That's what I'm saying. It's not like an extraordinary character or anything like that. Just because we never heard of it, we never try to practice it, but we may have to practice. Suppose you are a professional basketball player or tennis player, they are trained in this and they have to do that. Otherwise, if they don't be in the present, they will make mistakes. So, and then their compensation, everything will go down, right? They have to perform. So, how do you perform? Not by anxiety, not by passion and all that, but by being in the present. And that's a good quality I teach for my physicians who are burning out, mainly because they have too many things keep in their mind, even though they don't need to. Once they trained in this, actually it starts from the morning. In the morning, if you cultivate a presence, try to be in the present, then you can take it like a perfume through the day. So you are driving the truck, you're going to each patient, each customer's house. You kind of focus only on that, instead of thinking of something. Don't allow the thinking vagabond. Otherwise, it will go all over. It will go to India and come back in a few seconds, right? So that's why you don't want to vagabond the mind. Live in the
Yeah.
present. Yeah. Live in the present, Dina. That's what I'm saying.
So I try to do 20 stops an hour minimum.
Hmm.
And if I look at my scanner and see I've done less than 20 an hour, I get upset with myself and
Yeah.
I start performing poorly.
Yeah. That's
But
why that is
my
the
last neighborhood,
yeah.
I can do one stop per minute.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah,
So
but
that makes up for the
yeah.
rest of my day that
Yeah.
didn't go so quickly.
That is
So,
the reactions you talked about. That is what I protect my physicians from, because if they are reacting quite a bit, because some things are life and death situations, right? So they may not be completely able to make a good decision. Okay, so being calm and quiet really helps us to make good decisions in the emergency situations or life threatening situations or life ending situations and all that. So that kind of helps us a lot. Otherwise, each time you are reacting for everything, you secrete cortisol, epinephrine, all those stress hormones which are not good for you. In the long run, they accumulate. So that's why you ask your question in that way, okay, I kind of missed out, but I'm going to be more focused on whatever I have to do. And then you do them, and your quality of doing that without getting burnt out is good. The chances are very good for that way. Make sense?
Yes, totally.
Hmm.
I doesn't build up of cortisol doesn't that lead to cancer and other diseases?
Yeah, diabetes and cancer, lots of things. So, what we don't realize is, suppose we are seeing a basketball player, he's getting upset that he's not making the ball. He will never get anything else. Okay, suppose he kind of gathers himself and focuses and visualizes the basket and gets into a flow, then he spends very little energy, but the ball will go. You know, Michael Jordan used to talk about this. He used to say, "I'm in the flow, and then just I'm aiming for the basket all the time, and I forget after that. I just put it up and it will go through the basket." That is what happens if you are in a flow state. A simple thing is, when next time you're going, you are kind of, you think you are delayed. Don't let that upset reaction overtake you. Use that as an energy to improve your efficiency. That's what you are doing. But then only thing is the reaction is happening and you want to nullify it by being aware at the moment. What happens is the reaction doesn't go beyond. If you give thought to it, if you hold on to it, it will go on. But if you are aware this is happening, I don't need to, then it will come down. Then your efficiency of the next deliveries will be much better. Try it out, So then you will see yourself what's the value of that.
Yeah, I agree. That's the ironic part that I think a lot of people don't understand. They
Yeah,
just ruminate on negative things and
yeah,
wonder why they just have
exactly.
so many negative things.
Exactly. Actually, no activity needed because what is needed is focus on what you are doing. Then the quality of that work will improve, and also actually you lose in less time. See, they were saying a pilot was flying the plane, right? And he has 1 minute before the plane crashes because the engine failed. In that 1 minute, it seems like a forever because he's so focused on each second and he has to do so many things in that minute and he will do a lot of things because his life is threatened, right? He can lose all of it. So they took people like that who saved the crashes and talked to them how focused they became. So they actually teach people to be focused like that. I teach people to be in the present. I am in the present. Almost has become like a natural thing for me. So I have, if I think about something that happened in the past, I may learn the lesson, the wisdom from the past, but I don't go and live the emotional reactions and all that. That's the difference. So I may remember something, but I don't really go into that because it's already over. Because for me, life is here and now. So once I'm living it with consciously, whatever I'm doing, so there's the saying I put it for my staff in the office: pay attention to every action. That is something that they do every day so that they are less stressed because they have these routines, they have this thing, people coming and asking for different things. They stick to the routines, be conscious, and also help each patient. Attention is paid. That way, I don't let them wait just like that. I make one of my front reception or nurses to tell the patient why I am busy with another patient because patients come in with a lot of problems. Sometimes they may require more time than the other people, right? So if I'm seeing that, immediately I can tell my nurse about this, convey that to the patients who are waiting. Just go there. It's a courtesy, and also it's kind of nice business practice too, and also making people more relaxed to see me rather than agitated. So the moment they hear doctor is trying to help this other patient, because when they come, I give them the time so they understand. So that's why they are also cooperating, and sometimes they protect me, this patient. They protect me like anything. They don't want to call me in the middle of the night unless it is emergency, really emergency. Even though I tell them, don't hesitate to call me if you need me anytime. They don't. They want to protect me. But if it's a really serious one, I don't mind taking the call. So
I think that's great for your practice.
yeah,
Um, I struggle to find a good doctor that I feel like cares because I always say, like, if you die, do you think your doctor would notice? Like,
uh,
that's our healthcare system here in the United States.
yeah,
It's just more sick care. They don't want anything to do with you if you're well
yeah,
because I don't go to the doctor and then they get angry because I don't come and I don't come once a year because I don't need to go if I'm
yeah.
not sick.
Yeah, I mean they cannot have the transactions and all the problems there. That's how people are. You see, I was fortunate because I ran my practice by myself. Actually, my practice is kind of winded down, and I'm doing more like a telehealth thing, and also I'm focused on this new company I put it because I saw wellness is not given preference, and people are allowed to get sick, and then we kind of treat in the hospital. But that's all okay. We can continue to do that. But how about making them not to get sick at all? That was my argument. And over the years, I saw fast foods are promoted. All this processed food is promoted. People are not relaxing. They're always excited, 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 and they don't do much exercise, and then they have problems with the blood sugar. They are not really given proper education about diet and exercise, and they have to figure it out themselves. Some people who are educated really, and then they will have really want to, not that because they have to have a degree. They're educated, they can read papers, they can do all those things, and they are more intelligent. Then they will take proactive. They exercise regularly, they eat properly, they relax, and all those things. But some people don't have that. Then they become very sick when they come. They may not have even proper insurance. So I have seen so much of suffering like that, which is concentrated on. That's why I said I'm going to establish a company that's going to address the wellness, so that people are going to take responsibility for themselves and nip in the bud anything that is coming up in the system. That's called self study. You study, suppose you are driving the truck, okay? How is it affecting your back? How is it affecting your spine? All those things you notice, and then you go and strengthen the muscles that need for the upright back. So that kind of simple things, if you teach them, they will protect themselves during the work, and also they live a balanced life. That way they will be more healthy. Wellness promotion. Not that everybody has to do all the things, but at least that orientation there, you can reduce the cost also quite a bit. We cannot maintain these costs that we are pouring so much money into this system, which are not really making people better. That's why I was so frustrated with that kind of treatment. And now I am 66, but I am not on any medications. So that means I have problems in the past, but now I don't have any problems. So that kind of wellness I want to teach people, so that they don't have to go religious or not really. They have to understand what is the good lifestyle, what are the good rhythms that body and mind has, how can we maintain them, that kind of thing.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Um, have you had the COVID shot?
Yeah, I took the two vaccines. I promoted very. I used to do a COVID coping skills room on 10 o'clock, but after this has gone down, I kind of switched to something else. But then I used to, even now, people come and ask me what is going on, because I follow what is going on with COVID worldwide. So that became a habit, and since 1985, I've been following these epidemics, and we have so much knowledge, but we did not use it, and that's why we allowed this to spread like anything. But a lot of times it's a kind of really innocence. People are not really, doing those things. So there are people coming up now, and so anybody wants to come up with a question? You can continue to talk to Dina. I don't mind. She has very good words that she provoked me. That no mind, that's excellent, Dina. And a lot of people don't understand. No mind means that you are stupid or something. No, not at all. You have the intelligence that is behind the mind that you are tapping into that, and that's a very relaxing. Actually, that new app, Wisdom app that came up, right? And they asked me to come and talk something. So I came up and I talked about wellness and self realization. That means wellness and no mind, identifying with who we are, that is the conscious being. And once you are there, then your mind will be very quiet and used only when it's needed. So that kind of. Okay, there is Anna, Anthony, Ramana, Lakshmi. So maybe Lakshmi wants to come up. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, there's somebody else wants to come up. Hi, Anthony.
Well, greetings, Doctor. Haven't heard your voice in a while on Clubhouse, so I saw you out here and just wanted to join in and sit back and listen and get some wisdom from the ancient wisdom from stress and burnout.
Yeah.
Taken a crack at being a publisher and just finished a book for a client.
Uh-huh.
Got everything uploaded, and now they want to add 2 extra pages, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, man, I can't do this. But
What was that
I'm
about?
feeling okay about it, but they're the client, right? So
Yeah.
I've got to adjust to exactly what they want, and I just let them know it's going to cost you to get this done the way you want it done. Now, this is meeting after meeting after meeting after sign off after approval.
Yeah.
I upload the final version and I send it to them for approval, and now they have an idea to add 2 more pages, and I'm just like, it's gonna cost you. That's all I can say. So,
What was the subject? What were you writing about?
so very very good friends of mine. They have a son who has albinism. Don't get me to try to pronounce that whole technical term for it because it would drive me crazy. And they just want to do a book for young kids from a superhero aspect of using the tools that he has to use in his development as super tools as opposed to just tools that keep him in existence with everyone. So it's just kind of giving kids who have albinism an empowerment type of preliminary book. And then the next book we're going to work on is it's kind of like a little, not a graphic novel because it's for young people, but just kind of him being a hero, rescuing kids from bullies, rescuing kids who have albinism from bullies, and we'll create arch villain named Sunscreen or Sunblocker or something like that, just to kind of give them something to just kind of enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to the completion of this project and then moving on because the next one's going to be a lot bigger. I'm learning so much about the publishing industry. But this is just one piece, Doc. I was ready to upload and approve the final draft, and this happened. And I'm just like, no.
It's like this, Anthony. One of my friends, they wanted to vacation to Hawaii, and they booked a cottage, and they were already for about 9 months. They prepared for the vacation, right? And they went in hoopla, and the daughter was all set on that. And then when they go there, they checked into the cottage, and then they find a couple of rats there, and the rats are I don't know where they came from, but they were there, and they were so upset with it. They had to run out of the cottage and all that, and then their whole mood was taken off. So what it is if you are living in the moment with awareness, that kind of irritation you see, and then it won't be allowed to prolong. Otherwise, you are anticipating something, like you are anticipating the end of this book, and this thing comes up. So the moment you are aware of this movement of thought, which is producing all that, kind of irritation, it will stop. That is the key. Being aware of anger at the time of anger, it will stop you. Try that technique.
You got it. I appreciate that, Doc. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And also on the kids education, albinism is like a genetic condition, but it's a pigment problem. so there's risk for certain diseases and all that there. But he will have a lifespan that is pretty good because a lot of organisms may live for a long time too. And there is so much more on the genetic knowledge we have now, you know. But if you want to take the how they treated people with disabilities way back, they did not call them disabled people. They say God's children. Everybody has the same inner awareness, and that is the life, that is the God, you can call it. And so they nurtured them like that. Okay. And then if they somebody came and served them for something, like they gave them food or water, whatever service they gave, they thought they are worshiping the God. So any act is done in the name of the worshipping the God. So even if you do a yogasanas, each asana you do as a prayer to the God. So that kind of attitude really helped them to be, egoless, and also to be really not to be high or anything like that. And they allowed the person feel like very good too. Instead of making them feel like you don't have this or you have this disability, you made them feel like you have to do with what you want, what you have. That is contentment and satisfaction and appreciation of what you have is a, like, abundant attitude rather than really seeing what things we don't have. Make sense?
Makes sense, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing how starkly different the different countries
Yeah.
have treated historically people with differences or disabilities.
Yeah.
Like you just stated, in the U.S. Here, basically, they would either abort the children or send them away to
Yeah.
a state-run institution and tell the mother to forget she even had the child and go home and have another.
Yeah.
It's been really horrible.
Yeah, that is a see as a yogi, the first two principles are first actually very first principle. There are eight limbs, right? Eight chapters. Like the first chapter is about what are the things that you will do in the society so that you have discipline. The first thing is non-violence, even in anything. The non-violence was so prevalent in them, they won't even pluck the flowers from the tree, let alone eating meat. They won't eat the meat to kill it. But then they're extreme. But then their attitude is like not to hurt anything in the world, you know. And that is a very important aspect, but we forgot. And now with the violence, with countries, people to people, societies, everybody is so violent, you know. And then that is also reflected in not considering these babies, and then all those abortions. I never did an abortion in my life, not even giving chemicals to anybody or water contraception, none of it. Not because I was given an opportunity to do, but I never had anybody request to give me an abortion because I'm a medical doctor, right? So I deal with medical problems and all of that. So I didn't, see an antenatal patient because she's pregnant. I want to, make sure that her blood pressure is okay. She has no other problems. Those kind of things we used to do. But even if they come and ask me, where do you want me to go the abortion? I will wash off my hands. They have to do on their own, you know. So I don't have anything on my conscience in that regard. I was in practice over 40 years, but I never did that. I always feel that's a good blessing that I was showered upon by the higher forces, whatever they are, and I didn't have to do with that. I know the debate. I know everybody is getting into all of that, but I also see some of the people who had the abortions done were in complications too. They're poor girls, but some people really had to have an abortion to save their life. I saw that those kind of patients too. But I didn't have to deal with them. I can deal with their medical conditions, but their gynecological OB conditions, I didn't have to deal with it. Actually, one time I was in, we have to have a rotation right after the MBBS degree, right? 12 months we had to go to each department, 2 or 3 months major like surgery, medical, and OB, gynec, and all that. What happened was, I was about to go into OB-GYN. Was supposed to do so many deliveries for each student, right? I think 10 or something like that. But then a major cyclone happened. Our entire posting of the OB-GYN washed off. We were going to the remote villages to give the vaccination so that the cholera won't break on, things like that. Okay, so all the 3 months we were outside the city in the remote villages, helping the villagers to get the vaccination and all that. But we missed that OB-GYN rotation completely. You know? Otherwise, there I might have had to do an abortion because as a student they make you do it. You know? But I didn't have to go through that either. Now I'm remembering it. At the time, we didn't even notice that.
I think that's great that you've never done one or had to do one or anything
Yeah,
related to that. I think that's really
yeah.
wonderful.
It happened just like that. I didn't do it deliberately, but the whole career took like that. You know, even that cyclone came at that time. We didn't plan it. It just came up. You know. Anthony, something else that came to my mind as you were talking about the kids, and I am big on education, observation, and participation and discussion that way because I don't think modern education is really making the human being flower into a real human being. You know, they kind of make a memory machine and then cog in the wheel and fit the system and all that. There's so many problems there. There are some schools I'm associated with in England, Switzerland, and India, and also California. Okay, these schools they focus on perceptive ability of the kid and then thinking for by himself and not just memorizing things, and also natural intelligence unfolding. So that is something we need to employ, not just to just a commercial thing, but also human development. That
Yeah, education. I can't speak for other parts of the world. I just know it's a grave challenge
yes,
here. I'm in Chicago here in our school system, states
mm,
where um, it's the illusion that young people don't want to learn, but it's just the illusion.
yeah,
Um, we've lost 5 students to gun violence this year already. School
yeah,
just started in September.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
terrible. That is one thing.
yeah,
Young lives are sacrificed like that. You know, it makes me sad.
yeah, yeah. It really impacts learning for our young people. They have to cross through gang territory.
Yeah,
Even to get to great schools in this city, they're still on the bus. They're still, getting dropped off and have to take the bus home. So
yeah,
it's just really like they're just up against so much. And then, sometimes based on the home environment, I mean, I've been talking to a kid who literally has two parents at home combined. They probably make maybe $375,000 a year.
mm,
And this kid just, for whatever reason, likes to gravitate towards the wrong choices, and I don't,
yeah,
it's a situation where, you've got a kid who's in a single parent home who's doing everything he can with his mom, and then
yeah,
you've got this other kid over here who's got two parents at home. They make buku money, but
yeah,
there's still something with this kid where he just likes to make, bad choices, and
yeah.
you hope that he grows out of it as he gets older.
Yeah. I mean, that is what it is. Even if at 10 years age, we are losing these kids because so many influences on them. You know, they don't allow them to really flower into a nice human being. You know? Anyway, that's the big topic, and I have been talking in some rooms. I go rooms, they get invited for those, and then we do that. You know, anybody else has any other question? Uma is here, so she's prepared too. So. That's okay. I think people are shy about coming up and talking to us. Right, Dina? Probably. That's what it is.
Yeah, this room has been great, even though it's been a small room. Thanks for coming up
Yeah,
and sharing,
today
Anthony.
unusual. People didn't show up. Usually there will be 20 people or something like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I love it. I love small rooms.
Yeah.
They're just a bit more intimate for me. It's a bit more my pace, and
Yeah.
I appreciate the voices and the wisdom. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Anthony, I messaged you. My 20-year-old is at DePaul, so you're really scaring me right now.
Oh, he'll be fine at DePaul. There's a certain landscape in this city that the Chicago Police Department makes sure stays protected at all times. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
guess
don't.
I'm happy to hear that. At the same point, I mean, I'm unhappy to hear that. Why do they? I would say discriminate, but I mean, that
So
doesn't seem right.
yeah. So I'm not sure if you were aware, like when all the looting and everything broke out last year with George Floyd's death and everything being televised. So Chicago downtown, the mayor literally put up all the bridges so you couldn't even get through downtown,
Hmm.
right? But they left the other parts of the city wide open. And when I say wide open, I mean wide open. And that's when the looting and everything was, quite rampant. And again, everybody who was protesting was not there to protest. You got people who were just there to take advantage. Just like January 6th, the people who showed up versus the people who stormed the Capitol. Like everybody has their own agenda wherever they go, and I definitely will not compare what happened on January 6th to what takes place, with George Floyd. I just think that was just another act of, you know, I don't want to get into that conversation. But I say that to say, yeah, so downtown Chicago from probably 18th Street, DePaul is downtown, to north side of Chicago. That is like high travel, high visitor tourism industry for Chicago.
Yeah.
And so they're going to protect that infrastructure. So you don't have a lot of those things typically on the west and south sides of Chicago. Now, certain parts of Chicago, like the Hyde Park area, there was a student from Africa who was killed about maybe 10 or 12 years ago. Since then, they have put so much security in the Hyde Park area. It's like crazy. Like the University of Chicago has its own police, and Chicago Police Department also circulates that area as well. And so, again, they protect the areas of the city that brings the city money. The other areas of the city where it's just people like me who are just regular citizens, their responses are not that great. I just came out of a community meeting with the Chicago Police Department yesterday, just looking for ways to how can we resolve things together and bridge this gap between police departments and the community and our young people, because it literally takes all sorts of efforts in order to do that and carry those things out. But yeah, it's not right. But from a business standpoint, I understand why Chicago protects the downtown area, including where DePaul is, Roosevelt University, UIC campus is not far from there. University of Chicago campus is literally 10 minutes from downtown Chicago. So from a business standpoint, I understand why the protection is there. From a community standpoint, yeah. Is it racism? Absolutely. Is it discrimination? Absolutely. But from a business standpoint, I understand why Chicago protects those infrastructures in greater lengths, because the tourism industry, Chicago lost almost $7-8 billion when COVID hit from tourism alone. And so anything that they have to do to protect that, to make people feel safe when they visit the downtown area and the museums that we have here, they're going to do that.
That is true, Anthony. I lived in Chicago for 8 years, but I lived in the on the Devon Street, on the north side of the Chicago, and then I moved to the hospital in Oak Forest. That's the southern suburb. The suburbs are very very good at the time. So I never saw anything when I was living there way back in 80s. I love Chicago that way because I was on the lake and I used to go into the lake all the time. And by the lake, I used to run and bike and all that, right? So I never heard that kind of violence. So now I'm hearing all that. That looks strange to me. The city I lived in, north side, had no problems at all. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, think of it. Yeah. All right. I think we are done beyond that 9 o'clock hour. It was supposed to be only 1 hour. Okay. Dina, I think nice talking to you. And we talked about certain subject. This is recorded. Some people see it afterwards, so they may get something out of it, hopefully. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Nice to meet you, Dina.
Nice to meet you, Anthony.